Shout out to everybody in the chat room waiting.
Yeah.
Indeed, we in for another treat tonight. Another amazing show. Y'all see who I got with me? But
What's
before,
going on? I'm back.
indeed, but before I officially bring the brother on, as usual, family, let's get to a few commercials. Get comfortable, hit the like button, let your friends and family know, some important health stuff is about to be talked about tonight. So we'll be right back, family. All right? Be right back.
Hey there! Had a bad dream? I have dreams too. Some parts are scary and some parts are fun. Always remind yourself, it's only a dream and everything will be okay. I had a dream about being in a forest too. Check it out, my pet Peedy was with me. Order your copy of Kayla, Peedy, and the Forest on Amazon today.
Here, aka Goddess Guru, let me tell you something. When you think about magical people that seem to be manifesting the life of their dreams, those that have enough resources to do what they're called to do, and it just seems like the universe unfolds for them, it's no accident. Many of them are working with supernatural tools. I have created such a tool with my 2023 Angels Unleashed calendar. Go to VickiPlanet.com, buy them by the dozens. Let me see you there.
It's the numerational session with King Simon. Text your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. And get my books on Amazon now.
All right. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring back KT, the arch degree. Welcome back, my brother.
Peace, brother Rich. Thanks for bringing me on here, man. And peace to the family that is watching. How y'all doing tonight?
It was a groundbreaking fast we just underwent about right before spring, bringing in the spring.
Yes.
The new year.
How many was it? It was like 1,000?
About 1,000 people. Yeah, about 1,000 people participated. Yeah. It was you changed a lot of people's lives with that one, KT.
Me, I didn't do it alone. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? This was definitely a whole alley-oop, you know what I mean? Fast break. You know what I'm saying? We had some serious testimonials that was coming through in them last 3 days. We had people crying, breaking through trauma. You know what I'm saying? People healing diseases. It was wild. And then it didn't end. Like they kept that thing going about another 3-4 days, and then some people still fasting.
Yeah. People take it serious, and that's what I like about it. And they use the momentum created by the group, and they really go in. So it was a complete success, family. And this is something I guess me and KT would do probably twice a year, 3 times. KT suggested every equinox.
Every season.
Yeah,
I'm thinking seasonally.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I definitely think that makes sense. So, just stay tuned for that. We'll let you know we got announcements coming. But Hollow Vagata, he wasn't eating. He did the straight water fast.
Ooh.
He was in
Well, he gonna find out tonight exactly why that was popping. He was ahead of his time. He didn't even know it.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, shout out to that brother. I always pronounce your name wrong. It's Hollow Vagata. You could tell. Oh, brother said he's still fasting. Where's it at? Brother says still
fasted. That's what I'm talking about, man. Yes,
that's what's up.
Yes,
no, indeed. I know. I think New Diamonds. I think you was in there, Queen.
She was up in there. Yep, she was in there too. She was dropping mad gems up there. No pun intended, because she actually got a company where she deal with gems. But she was dropping all the gems up in there, though.
Wow.
And then Paradise Pies, Rich.
I seen some of them, KT, man.
Bro. They was spazzing out on the Paradise Pies, dog.
Yo, I was looking at the pictures like, what? Like, wow. It was wow. It was something.
Hey, man, let me tell you, y'all, I was on there answering, like, you know how I do. I was answering I was busting them from the early. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't the first one in the chats in the morning. There was cats that was up. They was up. Like they was waking up the roosters up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Roosters was like, give me another 5 more minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But they was getting the ground and they was getting the sun gazing on, and then I jump in there, you know what I'm saying, and wish everybody a good morning, a grand rising, carry them all the way till about 3 o'clock or so. Then
Mhm.
I'd give them a break, and then I'd come back in probably like around 7 or something like that. But they was nonstop. They was
Yeah.
nonstop up in that chat, bro. It was a
No.
whole community. It was wild.
No, definitely family. You know, I really, really enjoyed the Discord community. Me and KT, we started the whole WhatsApp community thing. I think in like 2018 was our first one, or 2019.
I
And
think
it's
it was
very,
18.
I think it was 18.
Yeah.
And they're very popular now. A lot of people use Discord because Discord you can have more members. But I remember when me and KT did it, it was like groundbreaking. I'm like, yo, let's do this WhatsApp group, for the fast or whatever. So I think that's something like we're gonna do more and more. I think I'm even gonna create a Discord for my Patreon members. But it's just the community learning is real powerful, families, especially when you got somebody like KT who's going in teaching the people. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to say thank you to everybody who participated, and we got another um powerful show for y'all tonight from the brother KT, the Arch Degree. Uh,
Hey.
Something that we've been hearing a lot of
Mm-hmm.
lately is this word called structured water. I want to give a shout out to the brother Yaki. I talked to that brother. We did a couple of interviews when he mentioned it a couple of times. So shout out to that brother for
Oh
keep
yeah.
circulating. He's big on the fruit water.
That's right.
Yeah. Also that brother, the brother who I think you got the recipe for the paradise pies, he's big on the fruit water too.
Addis Latham. Yeah,
Addis-
he ain't drunk water in 40 years, he said.
Bro, the couple of 40 years. I'm like, it's dude lying 40 years.
40 years
Yeah,
no water.
yeah, bro. Like,
You know what
yo,
I'm
that's
saying?
crazy. KT, I need you to tell us exactly because they saying that there's a 4 phase. We heard of water, we heard of liquid, we heard no, it's water, vapor, and what's the other one?
Ice.
And ice, and
And then it's the easy gel, which is exclusion zone water, the 4th phase.
that's the structured, right? That's
That's
another
right.
name, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they say our body is 2/3 water, but they say that translates KT into 99% of our molecules being water.
That's right.
Now that sounds a lot more than when you say 99%. I'm like, God damn,
How is that 2/3? Like, what type of conversion y'all doing, son? What? That's that new math.
like, bro, like my hand, this is just water right here, damn near, bro.
Right.
But let's get into it, KT. Talk to us about exactly, because they're saying this. I wish I had a bottle of water in front of me. They're like and practically my whole life I drunk from bottled water or
Mhm.
tap water. They like
Mhm.
that shit is dead water. And I'm like,
Yeah.
nigga, you gonna tell me now?
Yeah.
After all this time, what's
Well,
structured water, my brother?
so to get in the differences of water, when you talking about like structured water or good water, and you talking about like tap, some garbage water,
Yeah.
you're talking about qualitative versus quantitative.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you go downtown to the city, and you know what I mean, they purifying water, but that's the toilet water, that's the piss water, that's the binged all night in the fraternity house and threw up in the toilet water. You know what I'm saying? That's the every type of pharmaceutical drug dissolved in the water. That's that nasty putrid water. But because
Mm.
they treat it with chemicals and stuff, you know what I'm saying? They're
Mhm.
able to change the parts per million of fecal matter. They can drop it down. So quantitatively, it's
Mhm.
good water. But
Mm.
qualitatively, meaning the quality of the water is still piss poor.
Mm.
And how you get into much quality water is when you get into structured water. So as you
Mhm.
just mentioned, yeah, we got the liquid water, we got the solid water, right? And then we got the vapor. But then you get into the 4th phase because, water always mirrors the elements, the forces, and everything like that. So when you look at the forces, it's a similar situation in terms of the states of matter, where you got liquid, solid, gas, and then you got ether, right? So the 4th phase of water, the structured water, is a form of water where when light hits it, when sunlight hits it, when the electromagnetic spectrum interfaces with it, water then is able to separate its charge. This happens in photosynthesis. This also happens in melanin, but this is essentially the basis of a battery. And what ends up happening is two molecules of water end up forming into H3O2 and a hydrogen proton. The H3O2 molecules create a hexagonal lattice. Another way to explain that would be like a chicken wire fence, a hexagon shaped fence, right? Of all these hexagons of snowflakes, so to speak. And then it excludes all solutes, which means any other minerals, particulates, and anything like that out. That's how the water becomes a higher quality, because no other impurities can exist within inside that geometry, right? The protons that get pushed out, they end up creating motion. And this motion is what you call proton motive force. This is what actually drives our circulatory system. See, we're under the impression that our heart is a pump, but our heart is really more like a dam, is there to actually slow down the speed of the blood. You see what I'm saying? When people are catching heart attacks, these heart attacks are not coming from clogged arteries. They're actually coming from the low flow and the low rate of flow that occurs in the peripheral capillaries around the heart. When we look at our body, all of us melanated people, you know what I'm saying? Even people that ain't melanated, they can see there's two tones. There's two tones with our hands and there's two tones with our feet. Why do we have this a different color than this side? And that is because we are supposed to be plugging into the earth, and we plug into the electromagnetic field around us. And that electromagnetic field is able to penetrate through our palms, right? Which takes the word from trees, right? And in our souls, which takes the word from sun, and our soul inside of our body. And from that separation of charge that I talk about occurs, and the proton motive force is what pushes and propels, you see, the plasma along. And because the red blood cells are nothing but fish that are kind of swimming along in that plasma, it get pushed along with it, along with the negative charge that the red blood cells have. So it's your charge that actually pumps your blood along. That's why it's called the circulatory system. And for those people that take blood pressure medication, the reason why the doctor be like, yo, you're going to take it for the rest of your life, is because you having a low blood pressure, a low flow, based on the fact that you're not grounding, you're not connected to the sun, and you also dealing with non-native EMF forces that are collapsing your structured water, your body then creates a contingency plan by doing what? By narrowing the vessels. And the same way that you pinch off a hose to increase pressure, so does your vessels to increase flow. So then you go see the doctor, and the doctor gives you the medication, and then you take the medication. What the medication do? Oh, it opens it back up and slows it down. But then your body say, yo, you gonna die if you don't got no flow. So what does the body do? It narrows it back up, and you get in this endless cycle, because you're not recognizing that the way to remedy this is actually through structuring your water through the soul, through the arch of your feet, through the palms of your hand, through the sun gazing of your eyes, and also through the interacting with the herbs and other dietary and breath regimens that will also give charge to the body.
Yeah, I was looking at a post Blue Pill had put up a little while ago, your brother, and it said recent research found that our mitochondria rely on structured water to transfer protons and drive ATP production. From relying on structured water to produce the infrared energy, the deuterium depleted water to creating metabolites that guide our biology, our mitochondria open a window into our quantum nature.
Yes,
so I
yes.
found it's pretty interesting.
So what do we have here?
What's that, my
What
brother?
we're looking at right here is complex 5 of the electron transport chain. Okay. So when you go inside the mitochondria, which is a double membrane organelle, you have
Mhm.
enzymes in the membrane, 5 of them to be exact. They're similar to your hand. Well, 4 of them are related directly. And then there's a 5th one that does some amazing things, similar to your 4 fingers and your thumb, right? So just like
Mhm.
the 4 fingers, you got NAD dehydrogenase, nicotinamide adenine dehydrogenase, complex 1, succinate dehydrogenase, complex 2. Then you got complex 3. Then you got cytochrome oxidase. This is the location in which structured water is made, because as the electron is getting tunneled through those 4 enzymes, the reduction of that electron ends up resulting in water. It gets combined, electrons get combined with O2, an O2 molecule, and you end up with H2O. And this H2O is the structured water that the mitochondria makes inside of its matrix. Okay.
Mm.
Now, what's happening while this electron is being pumped through this membrane in the electron transport chain? What's happening is there's a separation of charge going on. As the negative electrons tunnel through, hydrogen protons are getting pumped from the matrix into the intermembrane space, from the matrix into the intermembrane space. What this does is it creates a concentration gradient, where in the intermembrane space, you have a high concentration of hydrogen protons. In the matrix, you have a high concentration of negative charge from the electrons and a membrane split in it. Once again, this is a battery. Then you have this fabulous enzyme, right? That actually goes from the intermembrane space through the membrane into the matrix. And the hydrogen protons that's in the intermembrane space, that positive charge, they fill up in this little C ring right here. And then as they fill up this C ring, it starts to spin. It is a rotor and a stator. You can call it a turbine. You know what I'm saying? You could, it's a mechanism. It's a nano machine. And this part right here starts to spin. And as it spins 1,500 times a second, I'm going to say that one more time, 1,500 times a second, this is where your electromagnetic field derives from, because the highest concentration of mitochondria exists in our heart and in our brain. So we have a large collection of these things spinning all the time, 1,500 times a second. And as they spin, they start to produce ATP. ATP. Now, the reason why deuterium is a problem, as you just mentioned, let's let people know what deuterium is. Hydrogen has isotopes. Isotope means it's the same element, but it has a different number of subatomic particles in its nucleus. So when we deal with the hydrogen that we deal with in our body, that's protium, which is an electron, right? And a proton. That's it, right? Then you get into deuterium. Deuterium is a proton, a neutron in the nucleus, and then an electron. Then you get into tritium, and tritium is a proton, 2 neutrons, and then an electron, right? So you got 1, 2, 3. Now, the difference with the 3 versions of these hydrogens are based on the nucleus, because nucleus represents mass. That means you have a larger atom as you go through each one of these. So a deuterium hydrogen atom that exists inside of the body is not going to fit through the narrow channel of this ATP synthase. So we operate off protium. We're unleaded premium, you know what I'm saying, gas. When you deal with deuterium, that's diesel. All right? That's diesel in a Camry. You tearing that engine up now. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of the aging that people go through has to deal with the abundance of deuterium that increases as we get older. We need it when we're younger for growth, for babies. You know, fruit are deuterium bombs. That's why they're so good for children and everything like that. But as we get older, deuterium levels need to come down. And the reason why there's so much deuterium is because part of the pharmaceutical industry is a process called deuteration, where when they create these molecules, these synthetic molecules, the type of hydrogen that they use in the molecular structure is deuterium. So a lot, and then when you get into processed foods, when you see hydrogenated this and hydrogenated that, what are they doing? They're adding deuterium to the processed food. So that's one of the hidden issues that we deal with in our diets every day is the deuterium. So I'm glad you brought that up, Rich.
Indeed. Wow. Oh, you went in right there, my brother.
ATP
Uh,
synthase.
indeed, indeed. KT, when you're talking about this molecular world, if you know if that's what I could call it, and you say a word like negative or negative ions, it could throw people off.
Right,
Do
right,
you, do
right.
you think that was done purposely, like as sort of like molecular warfare, just like they made everything black negative and then call us black or we're dark skin? Is it like
Nah.
molecular? What do you think?
Let me ask you this. When I say the word vagina, how do
Mhm.
you feel, Rich?
I don't feel negative.
Right. You feel good about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, a vagina is an invagination. It's a negative space,
Mm,
which represents potential.
hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when we say negative, we're talking about potential. We're talking about accounts payable. We're talking about getting paid. We're talking about alkalinity. We're talking about voltage, right?
Mhm,
But
mhm.
when you're getting into acidity and you're getting into positive, the cup runneth over. The plate is already full. You see what I'm saying? There's really no more room for improvement there. So that's the switch. It's all how you look at it. So yeah, it's definitely different because we talking, y'all want to be around positive people,
Positive people. Yeah,
positive people. You don't want to be around people that are negative.
yeah,
That's probably the flip,
yeah,
not the
yeah.
science.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Because
that's what I was talking about. The
right,
language. Yeah,
right.
that's what I was talking about. Yeah, yeah,
Because negative starts with nega.
yeah.
So we know
Woo-hoo-hoo.
I'm just
Ooh, negative starts with nigga. I
I'm
like that
take
one.
my first sip for the
I,
night.
I like that one. Negative starts with nigga. Negative. 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 Man. Hey, KT, let me ask you this. So we're talking about structured water, and we're like, drink a gallon of water, water this, water that, water this. Why when you come into this world, one of the first things they told my lady was, hey, don't give that baby water. Water
Mm,
is so important. We need it. But the first thing they say is, hey, don't give that baby water for about, I think it was 6 months or something like that.
right, right, right.
Why they say that to the babies for?
Well, when they you never hear that when you're in a you never hear that when you're in a village or when you with any tribes people or you with people that's like off the grid. They ain't shutting that down.
Okay.
The baby's main food is the milk. So the colostrum and the milk that the mother is producing is going to give that baby everything they need. So it's not so much about, oh, don't give them no water. It's really the matter of, oh, they need to focus on that milk. Now, when they give you formula, what you mixing with the formula?
Right, water.
So what they talk about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the water that most people will give a child in the first place when they don't know anything, they're gonna give them tap. So sometimes they are looking out for you. They like, listen, homie just got here. You might not want to smack him with that tap, bruh.
That's it. We
You know
got
what I'm saying? And they just spent 10 months suspended in water.
yeah.
The water just broke. They're saturated. They're still real. They're like a water balloon. Like when I gave birth to my daughter, because I gave birth to my daughter at home. You know what I'm saying? No doctor, nobody around. And what I noticed was when she came out, she just like flopped out. And she wasn't a form until she came out.
Mm,
She wasn't a form, and when she slid out, she was like a bag. She was
mm,
like a balloon or something.
mm,
And then when she fell in my hands, that's when there was form involved. And
mm,
children don't have bones until they hit like 8, 9 years old or something like that, is when the bones really start kicking in. That's why you don't see no kids with no casts and everything when they're little, because they're all cartilage.
mm.
So they're saturated with water.
Water.
They are water. They're pretty much fish or amphibians in the beginning, and then what we do is we dehydrate them, we dry them up, we taint that water, unfortunately.
Mm. Bam. Nigga said, That's real, because a baby could fall. You be like, damn, the baby ain't hurt himself. They got so much water in them, they don't be hurting themselves.
They'll cry from the shock, from the
Yeah.
sound, or how you looking. You looking crazy. So they like, what?
Yeah.
Like my nose fell off or something. Like why?
Yeah. Uh-huh. No,
You know what
definitely.
I'm saying? But water is magnificent. See, we have to understand what water is. It's a polar molecule. What is a polar molecule? Or rather a dipole? A dipole or polar molecule represents a molecule that has a positive and a negative charge. All right. So the hydrogens have a positive charge, right? The negatives is the oxygen. The oxygen has the negative charge. And what we see when we look at this particular geometry is a triangle, so to speak, where you have one angle of 108 degrees and you have two angles of 36 degrees. Now, if you look up the bond angle of water, you'll normally see 104.5. And that's a different angle between the center of each one of those atoms. But when you look at its actual energy influence, like the molecule itself, it's a perfect triangle, right? Of 108 and 236s. Okay. So you have 180. All right. And this 180 degree triangle that you have represents a dipole antenna. So consciousness is mass, right? Consciousness is mass and spirit. Okay. And the soul is the consciousness and mass is the what I'm trying to say, the broadcast. Okay, that's the broadcast. It's a dipole. What is a dipole antenna? Consciousness and mass together represents the broadcast. Your soul, on the other hand, that represents the signal. Okay. Water represents the antenna. I'm going to say that again.
Please do. Please
okay.
do. Please.
Consciousness, which is mass and spirit, okay, is the broadcast. Okay. Your soul is the signal. Hence why the Illuminati sell your soul. They want the signal, right? Water as a dipole molecule and antenna. Okay, it's the antenna, because check this out. People talk about water having memory, right? The memory is not in the oxygen and the hydrogen. The memory is in the geometry of the molecule. All right, because just to create an analogy, if you had an antenna in your hand, right? Is the radio transmission in the antenna? Like, can you break it open and pull out Lil Uzi Vert? You know what I'm saying? Is he gonna be in there somewhere? No. And you can change the shape of antennas and they'll do different things. And water is the perfect geometrical form of an antenna in the universe that is responsible for consciousness and life. That's why you cannot find life without water. And to show this, because I love breaking down movies, right? This is how you tie memory, geometry, water, H2O. Check this out. Minority Report. The precogs.
They was in water, right?
There was 3 of them.
Right.
It was the woman, I think her name was Agatha. She was oxygen. And then you had twins. Those were the 2 hydrogens sitting in water, able to not only tap into the past, but tap into the future.
Man, you be going in, brother. Come on, man. Come
Go
on.
back and watch the movie.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, that the whole conclusion of the film was based on a memory of her recognizing or identifying the fact that the ripples, the perturbations in the field, in the ether, was reversed. It was like the water is rippling towards him. That's how you know they manipulated the thing. So that whole movie was about that.
Wow. Damn, KT.
You
took it there, huh?
Just saying.
Well, one thing you just brought up, KT, is that water has memory. And if we're talking about dead water versus structured water, let's analyze a disease known as Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Do you think if somebody drinks structured water on a regular basis that could cure Alzheimer's because it'll make the memory stronger within their water cells?
Of course, because listen, this is what we have to understand about health. All right. The intelligence exists within inside all of us. So spirit, soul, all that ain't in the body. We're in a field where the geometry and the anatomy and the physiology that makes us up tunes us into it. You see, we're tuned in. That's why everybody always talk about tune in and get your frequency up and your vibration and all that. What is all that to do? All of that is to tune in what already exists. So in a situation like Alzheimer's, where you are creating all of this plaque that is inhibiting the firing and the processing of the nerves that exist inside of your brain, the neurons that exist inside of your brain, there's a problem going on with a certain protein where it's not getting cleaved correctly. And in it getting cleaved incorrectly, they end up creating these large masses of plaque that ends up surrounding the areas of the nerves. But this is all based on intelligence and charge. If you don't have enough energy at your job and you work on a conveyor belt and assembly line at the plant, and you ain't got no sleep that night, and you're responsible for step 3, 17, and 46, right, of this car getting made. If you ain't well rested and you don't have proper cognitive function, what's going to happen? You're going to end up messing up and the end result's going to get tore up. So what happens when water is structured is you have flow. I remember we was talking about jazz when we did the love show. We're all about flow dynamics with our body. All right. And when we do not have flow and things are stagnant and things are not moving properly, that's when you have stagnicity in a cesspool and putrid factors can start to develop. And all diseases are, listen, diseases are not bad. I'm going to say that again. Diseases are not bad. Diseases are subtitles, okay, for your body speaking to you. Because you don't speak body. You know what I'm saying? So disease is a subtitle, all right, underneath what's really happening, telling you, look, you need to pay attention to this. All right. And when you get things right, when you get the charge up, the intelligence knows what to do. You do not have to teach yourself biophysics. Your body, biophysics is a byproduct of understanding you.
Indeed. That's powerful, man. What is, you know, we got this whole thing, people debate flat earth versus round earth. I don't get into that much. That's not something that's on the top of my priority list. But what I'm wondering is, if the earth is flat versus if it's round, does that changes everything about water? Because water deals with spin orientation and angles, and if it goes down a 90-degree angle, it's dead. If it does this, it's alive. So would that change a whole science of water based on the shape of the earth?
Well, that's real interesting, because what shows you that life and consciousness exists is the fact that water is able to stand. You see, because water is known to take on the form of its container. It's a downward motion that water always goes with. But when you're talking about consciousness, you're talking about life, water rises. Water knows how to get up. Now, in terms of the flat earth theory, you know what I'm saying, or rather round earth, you know, I got to say this because I don't take either side because I haven't been out of space to see it for myself. I don't know. You know, now there's a lot of things that are supporting both claims. I tell you the thing that bothers me the most in regards to the globe theory is the fact that there ain't no pictures of the earth, like none. Like everything is Pixar. Everything's Photoshop. Everything is Mid Journey. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't got. You telling me y'all can't send out no Canon, like way out and just take a shot of the planet, bro, so we can see what we looking like? There's no Earth selfies. You know what I'm saying? And that's facts. You know what I mean? Something so simple. We got pictures of Saturn and Jupiter. We could see the sun every day going off with coronal mass ejections, but only thing we got is this little kind of small little cut shot from the space station, and that's it. And then you know, water sits. And all the water on the earth, it acts like it's sitting in a pool. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's supposedly, you know, they saying that there's a border around a wall, an ice wall, that when you go south is in all directions and north is in the center, and that there's more land past the wall. And I said, that'd be wild, because if they making you think you got to blast out of space to go to other planets, but there's really lands beyond lands, and they keeping you in the Truman Show, that'd be wild, you know? And then you have a lot of these weird, peculiar activities that take place once you go up into space, where everything seems like it's water up there as well. You know what I'm saying? I know Phil Valentine said that the Milky Way was the crack from the deluge with the flood and everything. You know what I'm saying? He went in with that. But my thing is, I definitely keep my mind open because I don't know. Yeah, I could listen to the math and the physics and the breakdown and da 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 da. But anytime people get real aggressive and they be like stupid, like I'm like, bro, like
that's how they get.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is it that serious? How do you know, bro? You ain't been on no rocket ship and went up there and checked nothing. You know what I'm saying? So as far as we know, bro, we could be in a cardboard box under a bridge somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, Truman Show is real. So, you know, I mean, based on physics, no, we're not supposed to just be whipping around in a circle, because the water is not supposed to be staying close to it. But then there's a lot involved in physics when you deal with the nano world, the quantum world. There's certain rules that don't apply to Newtonian physics when you get on large planets and large scales. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, math checks out, but I tell you one thing that don't check out, and that's them airline flights. Because that right there, y'all got to explain airlines, bro.
Wow.
That's for sure.
For real. You know, we've heard accounts of Jesus walking on water. I know there's a lizard that walks on water, and I understand that structured water has a different, it's like gel, like they say. So perhaps is this lizard able to walk on water? Is it because the water is structured water, so it makes it easier for this type of phenomenon to occur?
Surface. So water has a lot of peculiarities. One of them being that when it's heated, it contracts. When it's cold, it expands. Everything else does the exact opposite. So one of water's properties is surface tension. And what it is on the surface of water, based on density and the spreading out of mass, you could stand on water, such as water striders. You know, I know when we was younger, I'd be out. I came up in Brooklyn. We'd be at the park, and we might be somewhere where there's like a little pond or something, and it'd be a runoff, and it'd be all this little puddles of water, and you would see these little insects that they sitting right on the water, and they would just skate on the surface of the water striders, fing, 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 and they was manipulating the surface tension. Same thing is happening with that lizard. Remember, he trucking now. He ain't just, You know, he ain't strolling like Shaft in the 70s like that. He booking on that boy, you know, but based on his momentum as well as his mass and the anatomy that he has, he's able to withstand compromising the surface tension of the water so he can stay running on it. You know what I mean? We're able to do that too in manipulating charge. Listen, we walk on water every day when we're barefoot because our feet never touch the earth. We have a charge, the earth has a charge, and it repels. So technically we're not walking on earth, we're actually walking over the earth.
That's interesting.
Sliding right across it.
Yeah.
Ice skaters, they skate on water too, because as they skate, the blade is like a knife, it's narrow, and based on the pressure of all that weight on that sharp point, they melt the ice as they're skate. They're actually gliding on a bead of water, and the water freezes behind them as they skate. So ice skaters skate on water all the time.
Wow. What is some of the ways we could get this structured water, KT? I heard of the fruit from Yaki and a brother Aris. What's some other ways? So talk to me about, brother. Talk to me about ways to get structured water.
So water, when it freezes, is a hexagon, right? It's a hexagonal lattice. What animals do we know create the best hexagons in structure and is also responsible for feeding the world? The bees. The bees. Stingless bee honey, all right, has way more water in it than regular honey. Regular honey, this is why you was able to eat it like you was eating, Rich. Remember, you was like, you said it before, you was like, I can't really eat honey like that. It's mad sweet, thick, da-da-da.
I was drinking that thing.
Can't. I'm about to show you.
It was like lean. It's like the lean. Like how the dudes drink that I told you, man.
They don't understand the ones in the chat, though.
And you teasing me right now, brother. I ain't got none, man. I'm like a junkie over here.
I'm about to refill you. Don't you worry about it. You about to get some more. So this high percentage of water that exists inside this honey is perfectly structured. Perfectly. It never separates. You know, you get juices and other things, you sit them down, eventually the water separates from the rest. Why doesn't it separate up in here with all of this water? Why doesn't it mold? All right, because that's the bees in the hybrid honey. They all get together and start beating their wings and dehydrate their honey and make it thick so that there's not a lot of water, because too much water, bacteria can breed. You could get mold and everything like that. But for some reason, even with all this water in this honey, it does not happen because this water is perfectly structured. So if you want the most perfect structured water, I would say it's here in honey. If you look at the Hadza tribe in Tanzania, which was one of the last hunter-gatherers that still exists on this planet, right? If you look at their diet, you know, there's a lot of talk, you know, versus them being mainly plant-based versus meat. They prefer meat. I'm just gonna be honest. That's they hunt. That's what they do. Yeah. And they, you know, a lot of the vegans would say, oh, they eat the tubers. Tubers is their last choice. That's like what you would call a fallback food. Their main choice, their numero uno is honey. Now they different. They go up in the hives. They take it straight. And some of these bees that they be dealing with, they ain't stingless. They stinging and they getting stung and they ain't swelling up or nothing because they just G's like that. But their number one is honey, and they have the most diverse and healthiest microbiome on the planet.
Wow.
Eating this stuff right here. You know, so I'm going to talk about perfectly structured. Let me show you something real quick, Rich.
Yeah.
So when I went down to get the honey, okay, the head priest, because they got priests that pray over this honey and everything. That's why it's so potent and powerful and protected. They said, let me show you something so you can see, you know, like what really goes down, like what's connected to this honey. So what he did is he grabbed a honeycomb from the previous harvest, right? He took the honeycomb and put it on the ground, and he was like, "Just wait." And I'm like, what we waiting for? He was like, "Shh, chill, just wait."
Mhm.
So all of a sudden, I saw an ant come out of nowhere, and another ant, and another ant, and another. All of a sudden, it's like 40 ants or something like that. It's a lot of them, right? So I'm common sense. What would you think was about to happen, Rich? What was these ants about to do?
For real, tear up that
Tear that honey up, right?
tear up that honey, man. Shit.
Bro, I swear to you, bro. These ants formed a circle around the honeycomb.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the ants started to create lines coming out the circle and made a formation of the sun around the honeycomb. And then he looked at me and said, "This is how we know it's time for harvest."
Damn, that's a deep story.
Talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh shit.
What?
Hold up. What? Wait, I'm trying to. So why did the ants do? Why did the ants form that shit?
They formed the sun the same way that they look for the shadow from Ponsetani Field at Groundhog to see when spring coming.
Spring start, right?
They need to know when it's time that is to harvest the honey from the bees pollinating and everything. The stingless bee honey. They don't know what time. They don't have it on their calendar. They don't get an email. How do they know? That's what I wanted to know. So he showed me. He showed me in real time. He was like, they put it out numerous times. It doesn't always happen. But when the ants come out and form an image of the sun around the honeycomb, that's how they know it's time for harvest.
Wow. Where was this at?
This is in Honduras.
Honduras. Wow.
Yeah. Sadie land. He don't stop dropping the weight on everybody, bro. So to let people know, you are consuming structured water and the most potent and powerful plant metabolites that you could ever want to consume and put inside your body. This is why everybody that takes this honey drops it in their eyes, put it on their skin, and consumes it. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. And a lot of people on the fast, they got theirs right in the middle and the last 3 days. So a lot of people was able to consume that honey on the last few days of the fast, and they was able to truly experience it in that state. So that's the honey. Now, in terms of Brother Yaki, in terms of the fruit, he right and exact, because another way to structure honey is to get a mason jar, right? As I have right here, and slice up oranges, lemons, citrus, things like that, put it in this jar, fill the jar up with some distilled water, close the jar, leave it in the fridge overnight or for a couple days. And what ends up happening is the fruit that exists inside there and those molecules will start to structure that water up. That's why when you drink it, it's different taste, has a different viscosity, and it does something different to your body. That's another way. Another way, yes, is eating fruit, because I always tell people this is a perfect example. Take a grape, put it in the freezer, take the grape back out, sit it on the counter, sit that grape next to a fresh grape. What's the difference? One grape is mushy, the other grape is not. That shows you one has a structure and integrity, and the other one lost its integrity. You know what I'm saying? So the fruit that we consume has structured water in it because it has to be perfectly structured within the geometry. Remember, fruit is the byproduct of flowers. Okay, flowers, 6-petal, 5-petal, 8-petal. These are all geometrical dynamos that are communing with the sun, communing with the elements, fixating carbon in order to form this fruit. All right. So the water definitely has to be structured, or else fruit would look crazy. You know what I'm saying? But fruit is beautiful. When you see fruit, you want to eat it. You know what I'm saying? You don't look at it and be like, nah, son, I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you see a bloody piece of meat laying somewhere, roadkill, you like, nah, I ain't about to eat that for dinner. But you see a sugar apple, you see a soursop, You know what I'm saying? You see some fresh berries, you smelling it. You want to eat that based on its geometry, its color, its scent, its smell, so forth and so on. So yes, you could get the structured water that way. Now, another way to structure water is through vortexing. You want to find a way to vortex the water, okay? Because when water escapes from the earth through like a geyser, right, or spout, it shoots up and then it spreads out. That is the same as magnetism when you're talking about centrifugal divergence. When you see water going down a drain, that's centripetal convergence. You see what I'm saying? So you see both aspects of magnetism and the dielectric in regards to how water moves coming out of or going into the earth. So if you replicate that motion, you will also structure water. Charging your body through the grounding, as I mentioned before, and sun gazing is going to structure the water. And if you want to get real funky and scientific, then you get a neodymium magnet, 2-inch by 2-inch by 1-inch. Okay. And you get a 2-inch rubber tube, right? Gasket. You take that neodymium magnet, you put it inside that gasket, right? You tape it up, right? Tape it all up, and then you get copper tubing with a 1/4-inch diameter. You wrap it 4 times the long way, and then you turn it 90 degrees and wrap it 4 times that way. Okay. You pump water through one end of that copper tubing, and when it comes out the other end of that copper tubing, you'll have some perfectly structured water. If you don't want to pinch the copper tube as you're bending it around, you put water in the tube and you freeze it. This is how instruments are made. This is how a lot of metallic instruments are fixed and made, is they fill the brass and the coppers and the metals with water, then they bend them so they don't get dented, and then they melt the water out, So
Indeed.
Those are some ways you can make some structured water.
To the family in the chat, I see y'all got a lot of questions. Very interesting show. In about 10 minutes, I'm not taking questions now, but about the hour mark, I will be taking a couple of questions from the family. But I know this is a very interesting show for all of us to learn this and to change the way we drink water. I mean, it's very important for us at this time. KT, just to ask, you told us a couple of ways to change the water. A couple of more questions about that. Leaving water in the sun, does that structure it as well? Just leaving it?
Of course, because like I said, water is the dipole antenna, right? Picking up the signal. We have an electromagnetic field that exists. The sun is producing a full spectrum beam of light going from infrared to ultraviolet. The most predominant frequency coming from the sun is the infrared, somewhere around 42%. This 42% infrared is what creates the charge separation in the water, changing the water from it being in whatever bulk state it's in into a charged state, a structured state. Anytime this goes back to the ATP we was talking about earlier. So there's a misnomer with ATP. Okay, so everybody thinks ATP is a battery that gives us energy. It is not.
It's supposed to be like the currency. That's like the
No, it is not. The energy is in the water. ATP, what ATP does is it's an unfolder. Proteins go through different stages. Okay, you got the quaternary stage and the tertiary stage, first stage, second stage, when proteins are folded up. So if hemoglobin is getting made, it has one stage where it's like a string of pearls. Right, then it gets bent out, alpha helix into the beta sheets, you know what I mean? And then from there you get into quaternary, tertiary, you get into these other stages where it becomes something complex. When you get to a protein like ATP synthase, this is a very complex protein. It has to get here. Now, what ATP does is it unfolds proteins into its first stage where its surface area is now open. If I could give you an example. Let's make this simple, right?
Yes, sir.
This is a protein. right? Let's say this is ATP, kind of look like it, right? It's really psilocybin, but they got the same core molecules in there, the tryptophan. The ATP comes to the protein, and what ATP does is it unfolds the protein. So now the surface area has increased of the protein, right? The protein, right, has charge all over it. Why? Because proteins are composed of amino acids. But when they're folded up, all the amino acids are not exposed to the environment. So when it gets unfolded, it is now exposed to the environment. Now what happens? The infrared light, right? The electromagnetic frequency, the field that exists causes charge separation with the water. Where's the water? The water's all over your body. We just said it, right? 99%, you said, right? So because there's water everywhere, now you start creating those layers of charge. You start creating it around the proteins. Because these are negatively charged layers, that's the current. Hence why when you talk about ATP and all these other molecular properties, they call it hydrolysis. What is hydrolysis? Hydrolysis is when things are broken down based upon water being present.
Damn. Shit, I ain't never hear that breakdown, my brother. God damn, KT. A quick question about the leaving the water in the sun, KT. Yeah. Should it be distilled water or does it not matter?
Okay, so let me tell you something about distilled water, bro. People have had this same experience with other types of water. I deal with distilled. Anybody who's ever been listening to me speak, I talk about distilled water. That is my go-to water because that's the water that you cook herbs with. You know what I'm saying? That is supposed to be the pure water, just H2O. Spring water is not bad. You get it out of a natural source or whatever. It's called spring water because it came from a spring and there's minerals inside. That's why it's alkaline. You know what I'm saying? Because there's mineral and there's charge in there. You know? But when you deal with distilled water, there's it's neutral. It's supposed to be, at least, because it's just H2O. That's all that's in there. You know? Now, the reason why you know that water reacts with the field and that it's an antenna is because I've had so many instances, and anybody who got distilled water stored in their home can attest to this. You'll have water, the distilled water, sitting there in a closed container for weeks and months, and all of a sudden there'll be like a leak. There'll not a leak. I'm not gonna say a leak. There'll be a puddle of water on the floor. And there's no hole. There's no puncture. There's no spillage. It's like, where it come from? Like, how I get out the bottle? You know what I'm saying? So this pure water, distilled water, is gonna be the most sensitive to signals. You see, so you can always impart it with something. You can structure it, and you can always put other minerals in there and things like that if you want. But my thing is, I go with the distilled. That's my preference for water. You know, I drink spring water here and there. You know what I mean? I don't do alkaline water because it's all cap. I'm not. Spring water is alkaline water, so it's like, you know what I mean? You just need to drink spring water if you want alkaline water. You don't have to get alkaline water. You know what I mean?
So you know, I'm sorry, KT, you never got down with the whole Kangen water era when
I remember it where, you know, they push your hand down and then you go straight down, you drink it, you push it down again, it don't go down. You like, yo, I'm Superman, son, and we get the Superman water. But not that ORP, that oxidation reduction potential, is temporary, and lots of times that water reverts to a more acidic state. After that time, it gets highly oxidized. Those plates, you know, are suspect, you know, in the machine. And the water itself, you know, I know a lot of people get headaches, you know, from drinking alkaline water, you know, so, you know, we are not supposed to be drinking like 9s and 10s, bro. Like that's too alkaline, because, you know, bleach is alkaline. You know, pneumonia is alkaline, and there is a disorder called alkalosis. Just like there's acidosis, there's alkalosis. So we ain't supposed to be swinging the pendulum to the other end. Everything is about a kind of in a rational balance where you're slightly on one side than the other. You know what I mean? So that's that. So yeah, I deal with distill. I promote spring. If you're older, I would say try deuterium depleted water. You know what I'm saying? I would say get an infrared lamp to sit your water by, or just sit your water outside. The honey also gets activated when it's in the sun as well. You know what I'm saying? Like you sit it in the sun all day and it's gonna have some magical properties.
I think I asked you this when you came to my spot. As far as the manuka honey, is that the structure? Does that make it structured as well?
Well,
That
like I said, Manuka honey out of New Zealand. I said Australia. I meant to say
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Is only specific there because there's a certain Manuka flower there that these bees pollinate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yes, the hybrid bees, they're still structuring their honey. You know what I'm saying? Because they got hives too. They structure too. It's just that it's less water. So it's not going to be structured like that. And then the sugar content in that honey is out of control. The beautiful thing about the stingless bee honey that I'm speaking about, the Nessu nectar, is that it has the rarest sugar in the world. You only find it in this honey, and it's called trehalulose. Now, some people have sent me DMs about trehalose, which it's not the same sugar. It's a different sugar. I had to correct them because people, they see things and they run with it. They don't pay attention to details. But it has this very rare sugar called trehalulose, which is a isomer of sucrose that the bees convert the sucrose in, and it breaks down 3 times slower than any other sugar. Has a lot of other properties, genetic protectorant properties, wound healing properties. It's a very, very powerful sugar.
All right, let's we passed the hour mark, KT, and there's a ton of questions. I'm only going to get to a couple of them
real quick before I jump in the question. Let me just say this, going back to the quantitative versus the qualitative. When we was talking about the tap water, right? And I was saying all that stuff. So if you look around, one thing we have in common, regardless of our color, our gender, our height, our size, is we all are based on water, right, Rich? Another thing we can say is that the water that we're bathing in, that we're drinking out of the tap, and all that is all compromised with the birth control pills, the pharmaceuticals, the waste, and everything like that. So that water is contaminated to the point it represents trauma, or it represents trauma, right? So people are drinking and consuming this water, and guess what that does? That's going to create a traumatic people. That's going to create a traumatic mind. If you break an antenna, you break the signal. If you're driving, if you're on a road trip, Rich, you go into the city, you listening to 107.9, you bumping Cambada. Cambada's on 107.9, right? Once you come out the city, right, you lose the gain. It because you're not picking up the signal as good anymore. Right. So the antenna is being compromised. The bond angle is being compromised. The geometry of the water and the structures being compromised. Thus, the signal is not being tuned to the antenna properly. Thus, you're just going to get, and that translates into insanity, crazy person, people tripping out of their mind.
Wow. Okay, T. You said the water is trauma. We're drinking trauma water. And that remind me of, for the people that eat meat, they say they're feeding you, they're killing the animal, and the animal's they're secreting this chemical.
Adrenochrome,
and we're eating that.
That's
so it's like, the food is trauma based, the water is trauma based.
Yeah.
And we wonder why we're in the condition.
Because remember, memory is not based on the hydrogen and the oxygen. Memory is in the geometry because it's an antenna tapping into the field. When you look at computers and everything, all of the memory and the RAM that we deal with is based on what? Magnets. Remember, I said water is connected to magnetism. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same situation. So yeah, all the waters that make these animals up. I was just on a brother's interview last week. I have a clip of it on Instagram. And y'all need to check them out. Go to my IG. Y'all see the clip in my stories. And I was telling them, you got a line of cows going into a slaughterhouse, right? Y'all think they stupid. And it's 20 of them. And he look up and he see the cow go into the slaughterhouse and all this blood splattering. And he hear, and then it's just silent.
Come on, man.
Right? Then he number 18. Then he number 10. Then he number 5. By the time his time's up, do you know the level of fear, the conditioning of that water? Masaru Emoto showed it when you played the heavy metal music and said, I hate you to the water. What that water look like? And then that thing get chopped up and put on the plate.
Damn.
And you eat it. So we ain't talking about the meat per se. Because I'm at a point in my life, I don't bang on meat eaters. People eat what they eat. You know what I'm saying? But you could definitely do quality over quantity. If you want to consume the meat, don't do it like that. That's why you got Jews don't do it like they got kosher, right? They make love to their cows damn near, right? And then you got halal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's certain practices people go through in honoring the animal and everything before they consume them. So a lot of our lifestyle is based on the conditioning and the way we treat our food. Hence why even being a vegan, you can have a lot of health problems because you're still consuming a lot of heavy metals. You know what I'm saying? Glycophosphate infected foods, you know what I'm saying? Which is a huge problem and things of that nature.
Hey, KT, since cows are probably the most consumed, I hope it's cows and not pigs, but cows may be the most consumed animal in America. If we're 2/3 water, what percentage of water is the cow, would you say?
I believe that all us animals, all mammals especially, are around the same. They're making milk. You know what I'm saying? They're going through the same thing we going. The difference between us and other mammals is this. It goes back to the mitochondria and the ATP synthase again. And it's the fact that when you deal with most mammals, their mitochondria is concentrated in their muscles.
Right.
While our mitochondria is concentrated in the heart and the brain.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, man. This is why
Now the cell is water, and we know that we have another phase of water because the cell switches its state from being in a liquid state to a gelatinous state. Yeah. Like sea moss. Yeah. And the funny thing about sea moss is when you look at computer dynamics, when you look at circuitry and motherboards, right? You got complementary metal oxide semiconductors. Do you know what they call those?
What?
CMOS.
CMOS. Wow. Learn something. Wow.
I'm just saying, son. It's real out here, man.
This is some real stuff. Let's get to some questions, family.
Let's go.
I'm gonna do just a couple of questions before I get to these questions. KT, tell them your website real quick, my brother.
Oh yeah, soionicbotanicals.com. I could put it in the I'll type it up. I know you could throw it up there real quick. Yeah. And I know you're gonna have it in the
Yeah, I'll throw it up. Yeah.
I'll have the link in the description.
Just remind me. I usually forget. Remind me if you.
Yeah. No doubt. Soionicbotanicals.com.
Let me see.
Yeah.
All right, I know I done missed a couple of super chat questions. Y'all be getting on me about missing them. The chat move and then they disappear. I gotta probably write them down or something. But I'm trying to find one because that's the first one. Give me 1 second, y'all. KT just sent me the website. damn, where the hell they? Okay, well, let's go to get to this one first. Please tell me about Dr. Willard Water, please, and is it worth buying? Do you know who that is, KT?
Willow, is that the brown? What is it called? Brown, brown something, not brown water, but I think it's called. It's brown something, but it's supposed to be like some type of charged water. I've never had it. I've never had it, never experienced it, so I couldn't say.
Oh, also, KT, another question I got: the copper, putting the water in the copper. You hear a lot of people talk about that.
Yeah, remember I just mentioned how to structure water is through the copper tubing with the magnet. You want to add a magnet to that. That's what's missing. Magnetism is missing. There's an experiment I want y'all to try. If y'all get a strip of copper, right? A nice good strip of copper, and you take a magnet, a ring magnet, a small one, and drop it on the strip and hold it at an angle. It'll fall through the air like anything regular, and when it gets to the surface, it's gonna like how a cat lands on all fours. It's gonna real light, and then it's gonna drag slow down the copper. If you take a copper block and put a magnet on a pendulum and swing it, it'll swing and it'll stop right at the copper.
Right at the copper.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a beautiful relationship between copper and magnetic fields. You know what I mean? And you need to utilize that in regards to manipulating water.
Let me ask this question here. What about the microplastics inducing the water? Can structured water change that factor?
EZ stands for exclusion zone, because as the layers of the H3O2 hexagonal lattice are formed, what is being excluded are solutes, including the particulates and contaminations. Any type of solute materials that are in that water, they get pushed out.
What is the difference between distilled water and purified water?
Yeah, purified water is like some reverse osmosis situation where distilled water is actually, it's evaporating, it gets into the other chamber, it drips back down. Purified water is not a neutral water. Distilled water is a neutral water. You know what I'm saying? Two different waters, and they're not the same. Steam distillation and purification process is really just taking that tap water, because that's what tap water is. The city purifies it with chlorine and everything like that down there. And remember, we're talking about qualitative versus quantitative, quality over quantity. You know what I mean?
Somebody said, doesn't heat make honey toxic? Please advise me.
Definitely so. I never said heat no honey. Like, you can drop honey in a tea because
because you said put it in the sun. So I think that's
heat in terms of adding it to a fire, bringing to a boil, like passing 100 some odd degrees or something like that. Putting it in the sun, no, you're putting it in its electromagnetic field, is getting affected by the full spectrum light. You know what I'm saying? And then I forgot one of the most amazing structured waters that exist on the planet, where, you know what I'm saying, you could go to it anytime you want to, and that's coconut water. You know what I'm saying? Coconut water is like perfect water. It used to be our IV drip back in the day in the hospitals. It's the original Gatorade. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot go wrong with coconut water.
What's up with the silica in the water? Is that
added? That's just minerals added to change the charge. You know, you see they're going to add certain minerals in there in order to make it an alkaline or anything like that. Now, the source of that silica, who knows? You know, but silica dioxide is a very important property. That's what formulates gypsum and formulates quartz crystal.
Okay. Oh, tough question. Somebody said, do you think the water in Philly is safe? There was a chemical spill there recently.
None of our water is safe. None of our water is safe. Even rainwater, you know what I'm saying? In certain areas, you know, you could tell by the plants. Put your house plant out in a couple rains and see what happens to the leaves. You know, see what happens to your plant. We have to get into some real science, structuring our water, filtering and cleansing our water. This is another thing too I need to mention in regards to water. We're under the impression that the water cycle is a primary cycle and it's a secondary cycle. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, which is what we always grew up to learn, how we get our water, and seeps in the aquifers, we pull it up. That's the secondary water cycle. The primary water cycle is the water that comes from under the earth, okay? Because we have about 5 to 6 oceans that exist underneath us. All right. And what ends up happening is through steam and the high temperatures, it rises and it condenses against the rock, the bedrock underneath us. And when we find guys like Old Faithful and Yellowstone Park, and stuff like that, these are the waters that are coming from inside the earth. All right, inside the earth, the primary cycle. You go to Bolivia, you go to some of these deserts, and you got this oasis. You know what I'm saying? Like a 3-acre, 5-acre oasis with water and trees, and it's pristine. That didn't form from no rain, and anything like that. Would have got dehydrated immediately. It's getting replenished because we actually have veins of pure, untapped primary water in the earth. So if we really want to get past this situation, we need to drill. We need drills to drill into these veins and pull up this virgin water that exists right underneath our feet.
KT, this the fruit water you talked about earlier, the vortex water, the honey, the stingless bee honey that you got, is it as effective as if, say, after this show I take some? Now, I know the digestive system shuts down at a certain time, and you're not supposed to eat until I guess noon or something like that. If I take all of this stuff at midnight, is it going to be as effective, or am I just going to piss this right out?
Water is much different than food. You know what I'm saying? Because food, you got to use your digestive system to break things down, where water is you're getting absorbed. It's absorbing. You always need water. You're drinking water right now, Rich, breathing. So we can't say that we can't drink water throughout the night, because some of our deepest exhalations and inhalations take place while we sleeping, and the air is full of vapor.
Right. No, definitely. Okay, let's get to another question from the chat. Let's see. What y'all talking about? Y'all gonna have to hit KT up to talk about that thing that went down in 2020. We ain't talking about it on the show, so y'all gonna have to personally contact him, Instagram or something. Oh yeah. This I meant to ask you this earlier. I'm glad Tonya brought it up.
Yes.
Speaking to the water, is that up there with, or putting like say you put love on a water bottle? Is that up, or speaking to it?
Yeah. Remember, what did I say? What is water again, Rich? This is the first test. I said it's an antenna, right? Yeah. So when we speak, that's a vibration. That is a signal.
Yes.
Okay. What is the signal, though? The signal is love. The signal is compassion. The signal is appreciation. The signal is gratitude. The signal is hope. The signal is appreciation. Okay. The signal is thankfulness. Okay. That signal is going to get picked up by the antenna. And you know what's deep about water too? Because water represents magnetism, right? It is the perfect holographic reality. Hence why we have our DMT experiences and everything like that. So water itself is a holographic reality, a holographic domain, a holographic generator. So that's why when you deal with rituals and you deal with spells and you get into voodoo and you getting into a lot of these other Ifa and everything like that, water is involved. You know what I'm saying? People use water all the time for rituals. Why? Because that's how you create. There's no creation. There's no bringing into existence without water. So if you want to bring a beautiful day into reality, remember, we start our days with 500 million new cells that are predominantly water waiting to be programmed by you. And all you have to do is program those 500 million cells to do the necessary work. So don't say, oh, I don't know if I could do it, or I'm not strong enough or tall enough, or I wish I had what they had, or I look like this person or that person. Don't say that. Say, I got it in the bag. I'm going to get this done. I am the most powerful. I am the most beautiful. This is meant for me. I was built for this. I was made for this. No one can do it like me. That's what you say. And that's the signal that the dipole antenna is able to receive. And also, based on it being a battery, create the charge necessary to do the work. You see? And you have all of the necessary mechanisms in your body to do the work.
Last question, KT. And the brother's website is on the screen. soionicbotanicals.com, family.
Get that honey. That honey. Y'all better get it.
Let me see. Okay. Do put in chia seeds in water and shaking it, make it structured water. That's
interesting because it makes the gel. You know what I'm saying? I don't do chia that much. I do it from time to time. You know what I'm saying? I do these overnight oats sometimes. You know what I mean? Where it's like you could do like coconut milk, chia seed, blueberries, these oats, and then you just let it sit in the fridge overnight, and the next day and then I put hemp seeds on it the next day, and then it's like a cereal. You know what I'm saying? I do that from time to time. But I don't do chia like that. Oh, well, nah, sometimes when I do go out, them desserts, you go to them vegan spots, they use the chia in those little parfaits and stuff like that, and it'd be good. But based on it creating that gel, I could see why it does, but I haven't considered chia seeds, though. That's a good question.
Yes, that's gonna make you use that bathroom. I know that.
Oh man, and yo, you know what will make you use the bathroom for real? For real? Any of y'all that's watching that's constipated or know someone that's constipated, just go get some yellow dragon fruit. Not the red,
because it got the yellow. Black. It got the black seeds in it.
Bro, not the red one.
Yeah, I had the yellow one yesterday, and I used the bathroom this morning, and I looked at I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, oh, the yellow dragon fruit.
Did I know that, Rich?
You didn't know that.
Water is a dipole antenna. All right. Facts. Here go. In real time. I had no idea. And then out of all the dragon fruit, and then yellow. It just happens to be yellow, and you use the bathroom. Come on, dog.
Like literally last night I ate it. And because I ordered it from Miami, what's that? Miami Fruit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I ordered it from Miami Fruit. I ordered a package, and it came, and I ate it. And this morning I was like, "Yo, what the hell?" Then I was like, "Oh, the dragon fruit." So KT's on the
parasites.
Yeah, man. I'm like, yo, but yeah, KT's on the money with it, y'all. Listen, man, man. This was a great show. A very informative show, family. I advise y'all to watch this a couple of times and share this with the people you love, y'all. This ain't entertainment. I just told y'all we was changing lives during the fast. This ain't entertainment. Yeah. This is some real stuff right here, family. So I want to thank y'all for joining us tonight. KT, any last things you want to leave with the family before we get out of here?
Consciousness is spirit and matter. Water is the glue for that spirit and matter. That is the broadcast. Your soul represents the signal, okay? And water is the antenna. So with that being said, make sure you stay hydrated.
Hey, family, we getting out here. Thanks for tuning in, Brother Rich, KT, the Arch Degree. Peace.
Peace and love, y'all.
Yes, sir.